Collins was willing to assist the family to a point, but he had no intention of doing as his predecessor and giving in to the lady's every whim. She would have the income from her dowry, but for the first time in her adult life, Mrs. Bennet would learn to live within her means. This fact did not surprise the Darcys when they read of it in the letters from both Collins and Jane, although Elizabeth was surprised to read of the growing familiarity between Jane and their cousin. The infrequent letters Jane had sent her sister prior to her illness had been highly critical of the man, but as the two spent more time together, it became apparent to Elizabeth that Jane had become fond of him. From Mr. Collins's letters to her husband, Elizabeth believed the sentiment was returned, and discussed the matter with Darcy one afternoon, as they sat in his study, drinking their tea. "William," Elizabeth began, her tone reflective, "I have been reading through Jane's recent letters, and noticed a change in her sentiments toward Mr. Collins. I believe she has developed a genuine affection for him." "I believe she has developed a genuine affection for him. I wonder what Mrs. Bennet thinks about this development, since she once thought Jane too beautiful to waste on Longbourn's heir." Darcy looked up from his book, his expression thoughtful. "Indeed, that is unexpected. Jane was so critical of him before her illness." Darcy thought for a moment. "However, in his last letter, Collins mentioned the two have been spending a great deal of time together. I thought perhaps it was one-sided, but I think they could be an excellent match." Elizabeth nodded. "She mentions several conversations they have had about the estate, and it appears they go for daily walks that have little to do with the business of the estate." Darcy leaned back in his chair, considering this new information. "It seems that their time together has fostered a bond that neither I nor you anticipated. Jane's change of heart is quite remarkable." Elizabeth continued. "Mr. Collins's letters to you are filled with admiration and respect for Jane. He speaks of her in a manner that suggests he holds her in the highest regard. It seems he has come to value her companionship more deeply than I would have imagined." Darcy's brow furrowed slightly. "If this is indeed the case, it could be a positive development. Jane has been learning to become a proper mistress of an estate, while Collins is trying to do all he can to prove a good master. He has done well so far in spite of not having had enough time to truly make that much of a difference." Elizabeth smiled. "I do hope they are able to make the estate successful. From what I have been told, neither Mr. nor Mrs. Bennet were willing to put forth the effort required to see the estate be successful. Neither Mr. nor Mrs. Bennet were willing to put forth the effort required to see the estate be successful, and I am pleased that Jane is now trying to change that, along with Mr. Collins.